So this is Benjamin Hay, aka the Captain speaking, and John Beyer is my collaborator on the last two songs that we're going to be talking about today. One being Rat-Ta-Tat-Tat, which is our anti-gun violence record, and No Samples, which is our love song. We've actually been working together for 3 years, collaborating together, and we have a vision of changing the music industry. We literally want to bring quality music back to the forefront. We want to have subject matter that really gets the listener to think. We want to really change the landscape of the quality of the music that's out there. So we're literally not taking any shortcuts. We're putting our all into it, being very intentional, and really putting some passion and fire behind what we do.
First of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you, because when it comes down to when you listen to the quality of a lot of the music you hearing out here nowadays, it's like, oh my gosh, all you hear is kind of like the same format with every song. Every song sounds similar, has a very similar, message in it. And I really do appreciate the fact that you gentlemen are taking the time out to make sure that, you're providing and bringing good quality to the listeners out there that really just miss when music actually meant something, when it had substance to it, when it had, feeling to it, other than this, this emotional, mindless machine type music that they're pushing out here nowadays. So we do appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
Back in the day, I'm a little bit older than Ben. And, back in the day, the music had a lot of meaning and feeling to it. You could hear every word, every lyric.
Mm-hmm.
When we wrote Rat-Ta-Tat, that song is a gun violence song, anti-gun violence song.
Mm-hmm.
And, I grew up in a rough neighborhood. Ben grew up in the projects. He didn't want to do it at first. I got to talk him into it. But it was a song that I had in my head, and I couldn't get it out of, get it out of my head. And then, one day we just sat down, we agreed to do it. We banged it out in like 45 minutes at the kitchen table. And it's a positive, Ben put a very positive spin and message to it. And the message is, really love. And if you listen to it, it's really a plea to end gun violence. And we're really proud of that. You got to listen to the lyrics, and it's got a fresh sound to it too. It's, kind of like a light hip hop song. And I love it. And
it's actually conscious hip hop in that it has a positive message. And we talk about the problem of gun violence in the first verse, but it's important for me. I'm a glass half full guy, Mr. Optimism, needed to talk about the solution as well. And when John comes in, he was just like really adamant about it. And again, for me growing up in the projects and being exposed to gun violence, drugs, and a lot of nonsense, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. But if you really think about what's going on, it's really prevalent. Like every other week, there's either a big incident that's happening, whether it's somebody famous or even not famous, from like Takeoff shooting recently, what just happened in Colorado, what happened at the Target recently. It's just like gun violence is a big problem and continues to be. So like this is a song that we want to get out there to as many listeners and anti-gun violence, whether it's activists, politicians who are trying to push gun reform. Like, we need this song out there. Yeah, and it was really adamant. Like, when you listen to it, you hear every word. Like, John was like, listen, I want people to listen to this. I want them to hear the message. I want them to hear what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, it's a positive song in the end. It's just, Ben's holding up a billboard at the end of the video that says end gun violence, and it's what we need right now,
Absolutely. And I do appreciate songs like that, man, because as, an individual myself that has, seen a lot of gun violence, that has lost, a few friends to gun violence myself, and have almost became a victim of gun violence at one point in time my own self, songs like that hit near and dear to my own heart. Because I remember, I don't know if you guys recall, but here in New York back a few years ago, the shooting death of Lloyd Morgan, who was only 4 years old in Foster Projects up in the Bronx. And when that happened, it like struck a chord with me so bad. And even the whole situation with Janala Watkins, a 6-month-old toddler out in Chicago that was killed while her father was changing her diaper and sitting in the car. Those two songs, and then also with the fact that, a best friend of mine by the name of Alonzo that was murdered while coming back home from a Phillies-Eagles game and whatnot. And you know, songs like that, it really touched me to the point where I even made my own song at that one point in time too. And you guys are right. You know, gun violence is a really big thing right now in our community. It's not like it's something that just, you know, started happening or, you know, just a recent occurrence, but this is something that is always going on. So I do appreciate songs like that.
And let me say this first, I want to offer my condolences. And I think for anybody, I don't want to ever be so desensitized. Like, it's something that I don't want it to be treated as normal. Like, this is a serious problem, and people need to realize, like, hey, we need to be talking about it, taking action around it, and changing the conversation. So thank you for sharing what you shared with me. Also, I wanted to say that, oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm sorry, like, I don't mean to make it like an emotional thing or whatever, but
this is real. This is real. And the thing is, these are the conversations that we need to be having. Like, we need to be talking about solution.
Yeah. And that's what Ben, the third verse of that song, Ben turns it into a very positive message towards the end of the song. And that really rings true. And that's why I love it so much.
Yeah.
You know, gun deaths, gun shootings of children is a leading cause of death in children in America. Are killed by guns more than anything else. It is an epidemic. And we're hoping that this song is, you know, start to take off and people hear the messaging.
Yeah. Absolutely. It is also important for us that while we intended for it to be directed at inner cities, this is happening everywhere. Bullets do not discriminate. So it's a problem for everybody.
It's ironic that you said bullets do not discriminate, because the song that I made myself, you know, way back in 2012 was actually called No Names. And that was, you know, attributed to the fact that, you know, so many victims, you know, even myself included, was, you know, innocent bystanders. Like, I wasn't hit, fortunately, but my brother got hit, you know, like right next to me, you know. So, like, when we seen that happen and stuff like that, and then just thinking about how many, you know, times that we hear this all the time, especially here in New York, we hear it all the time about, you know, young girls walking down the street, going to the store to go get sugar for, you know, sweet potato pie, getting hit in the leg on Thanksgiving. And you hearing things about, you know, kids just playing in the playground getting shot up because, you know, a gun fight breaks out in the park or across the street from it, and then this person gets struck, unfortunately, by the bullet. And it's just like, you know, you see these things happening, and everybody keeps wanting to go to this whole conversation that the solution to gun violence is to, you know, have stricter gun laws. Well, a little notice for people out there that don't live here in the city, we have some of the strictest gun laws in the whole entire country when it comes down to it, but still people are getting their hands on guns. So can't always want to say that it's gun control that we need. Sometimes it's a little bit more than that. So, like, I know you guys, you brought it up earlier, when it comes down to it, you are, you know, bringing up solutions in the song Rat-Ta-Tat-Tat. So, like, with that being said, like, what would you feel like is some viable solutions that would help to end gun violence, not only here in New York City, but worldwide?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, as far as being humans, we all want to be seen, we all want to be heard, we all want to be validated, and we all want to be loved. So, at the end of the day, the leadership element, mentoring, like, at the end of the day, we all need some type of direction, whether it's a deep spiritual connection or if it's an influence in our orbit, somebody who we respect, who we love, who we look up to, and then we continue that to the next generation. Growing up, the only reason why I was able to get out of the hood is because I had some amazing male role models around me, from my grandfather, who was super strict with his family, and I didn't understand it, but as an adult, I get it now. Some of my uncles, like, yeah.
And there are great, you know, there's some real celebrities that have some great foundations. You know, the Mariano Rivera Foundation is a mentoring program. Kobe's Foundation, Mamba, you know, is an amazing place. So there is a lot of positive places for people to go. It's not enough, but, you know.
Boys and Girls Club of America.
Yeah. So we're hoping that, you know, that this just brings more enlightenment to that, you know.